So you set something up. Maybe it's a prompt you reuse every week, summarizing meeting notes, drafting your Monday update. Maybe you went further. You built an agent or a skill or some kind of recurring automation that just runs now. And the first few times it worked great. But question, how do you actually know it's still working? Not did it output something, because it always outputs something. But how do you know the something is good? Most people's answer is, I read it and it felt right. That's it. That's the whole system. Today, I want to give you a better answer. It's called an eval. A quick note, if you already know what an eval is and just want to see the live demo, you can go ahead and skip ahead to that timestamp that I'm going to drop in the description. Everything between here and there is just background for anyone who's newer to this and wants to hear about it. Eval is short for evaluation. An eval is just a test you run on purpose instead of checking by vibes. You can think about it like a driving test. They don't just watch you drive in an empty parking lot and hand you a license. They put you through a few different situations, because doing fine in just the easy case doesn't tell you if you'll be able to handle the messier one. That's an eval. You give a prompt or an agent a batch of real situations and check whether it holds up across all of them. Why does this matter? Because the thing that gets you with AI isn't that it fails obviously. It's often that it fails quietly. It gives you something that might look right or read confident or even sound correct, but it's subtly off. Wrong number, missed the actual point of the email, summarized the wrong meeting. And if you only ever tested it once on one easy example, you might never have caught that. When you're just chatting with AI back and forth, this stuff matters less. You're right there. If it says something off, you can catch it, correct it, and move on. You are the eval. But the second you set something up to run without you sitting there watching, a saved prompt you reuse, an agent doing multi-step work, a skill, or some kind of recurring task, you've effectively removed yourself from the loop. Nobody's spot checking it in real time anymore. It's just running on your behalf, possibly making decisions or producing output that goes somewhere, an email, a doc, a task list, before you've even looked at it. That's exactly the situation where I'll just eyeball it stops being a real safety net. You're not eyeballing it. That's the whole point of setting it up, so you don't have to. So the more you lean into AI doing recurring or semi-autonomous work for you, the more this becomes necessary, because it's the thing that lets you trust automation instead of just hoping that it's going to be fine. Okay. Quick vocab break, because you'll see these terms and I want you to actually know what they mean. There are two flavors of this. Offline evaluation is testing before you rely on something. You build a small set of realistic examples, run your prompt against all of them, and check the results before you trust it with real unattended work. Online evaluation is checking after it's live, going back periodically and spot checking real outputs over time, because a prompt that nailed your 10 test cases can still quietly drift once it's running for months against inputs you might not have thought to test. Both matter, but today I'm only going to focus on offline, because that's the one you need first, and it's the one that's actually approachable to start doing this week. Online evals is a really come back to this once you got the first part down thing, so we'll cover that in a future video. But let's start with offline. So how do we actually do an offline eval? It's a few easy steps. First, pick the thing you actually rely on. Maybe the prompt you use every Monday, the agent that drafts your replies, whatever it is. Step 2, write down 5 to 10 real examples of what you'd actually feed it. Not just the easy ideal case, but the range. You can include a normal input, maybe a messy one, maybe an edge case. If you're summarizing meeting notes, include the meeting that ran long and got off topic, not just the clean 20-minute one. Step 3, for each one, decide what good actually looks like before you run it. This is a step that's often skipped, but it's the one that matters most, because if you don't know what good looks like ahead of time, you'll unconsciously grade whatever it gives you as good enough. So take the time to write it down first, even if it's just a sentence. Step 4, run all of your examples through it. And step 5, grade each output against what you wrote down. Doesn't need to be fancy. Good, okay, bad, or a 1 to 5 rating. And that's it. That's an eval. You've probably already done some version of this by accident before, testing a prompt a couple of different ways and going, oh, this version's better. The only difference is doing it on purpose with a real set and writing down what good means before you look at the answers. And finally, time for the demo. So let's walk through an example together. Say the thing you rely on is a prompt that summarizes your meeting notes every week. Here's how you'd actually eval it. Step 1, gather 5 to 10 real examples, not just your easiest meeting, but grab notes from a normal one, a messy one that ran long and went off topic, and maybe one with a lot of action items buried into it. Step 2, before you run anything, decide what good looks like for each one. For the messy meeting, maybe good means that it still catches all 3 action items even though the conversation wandered. Write that down first. Step 3, run all of them through the prompt. And then finally, step 4, grade each output against what you wrote down. And that's the whole thing. Here's the core idea underneath it all. Anyone using AI for real work should be using evals. evals. Because before you trust something to run without you watching, you should test it on purpose, on more than one example and against a standard that you set ahead of time. That way, instead of finding out something's wrong because it starts to feel off, you can actually quantify whether it's working and how well it is. For now, pick one thing you rely on, write down 5 real examples and actually test it. You'd be surprised to see what you catch. And that's it for this one. Thank you so much for sticking around till the end. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.